In the past, Project always calculated when tasks started and finished based on the dependencies you created between tasks. If you wanted to fix task start or finish date, you could set a date constraint on the task. Project 2010 has two scheduling modes. Auto-scheduled mode makes tasks work the way they always have, with Project calculating their start and finish dates automatically. The new scheduling mode, manually scheduled, gives you control over task dates and comes in handy in several ways. Whether you create a manually scheduled or auto-scheduled task in Project, the only thing you have to do is type a task name. Here's a project with some existing tasks. Let's look at the Identify Potential Sites task. Now, if you use project management software to help you schedule and manage projects, why would you want to start setting your own task dates? Well, one of the reasons is, early in project planning, you might not have all the information you need to define a task. And with manually scheduled tasks, you can start with the task name and you can fill in the other details as you get them later. For example, you might know when the task will start, but you don't know how long it will take. With a manually scheduled task, you can leave the date and duration fields blank if you want. You can fill in specific dates or the duration, or you can even fill in a field with a note about the information you don't have yet. For example, here you can talk to the realtor about when this is likely to start. The appearance of the taskbars in the Gantt chart timescale show what information is filled in or missing on manually scheduled tasks. See how the taskbar shows a cap at the start date because that's the only information that you've provided so far. Let's look at the review requirements with management tasks. In some cases, tasks have to occur on specific dates, like meetings, training classes, and conferences. Those tasks start whether you're ready or not. You can type the dates in the start or finish fields of a manually scheduled task, and that's when the task is scheduled. This approach is also an easy way for a beginner to start managing projects. You can create tasks and set their start and finish dates without learning about task dependencies, date constraints, and other mysterious project features. The review requirements with management task is manually scheduled for December 15th, which happens to be the quarterly meeting of your head honchos. It doesn't matter whether you finish the budget and other requirements earlier. December 15th is the first day you can meet with the big kahunas to get their okay to proceed. As you'll learn in a later movie, you can also use a date constraint to set a task's start or finish date, but manual scheduling lets you fix both dates. With manually scheduled tasks, you can also plan a project from the top down. Suppose your boss told you how long you have to complete a project, but you don't have any idea whether that length of time is sufficient. You can create manually scheduled summary tasks with the high-level durations you've been given. When you create tasks for the work in that summary task, you can see if you have enough time. Here, the black summary bar shows the duration you entered manually for the planning move summary task. The red bar shows the duration of all the subtasks. The bar is red because it's longer than the duration you set for the summary task, and that means that you don't have enough time. If you change the duration to 90 days, the bar turns blue because now you do have enough time. You can point to the bars to see the screen tip with the information about the task. Now let's look at another file to see how to create manually scheduled and auto-scheduled tasks. In this case, we're going to open the Office Move Create Tasks file. In the Open box, you can just double-click the file name. Project sets the task mode to manually scheduled by default. The status bar shows the task mode that's set for new tasks you create. Since the task mode is set to manually scheduled, you can create a new manually scheduled task by typing a name in the task name cell. When you type the task name, press Enter. The entry table shows the task mode in the column to the left of the task name. The push pin shows that the task is manually scheduled. The question mark means that the task duration and date information is complete. To start this task on January 10th, 2011, click the Start cell. Click the down arrow, and in the calendar, go to the date that you want. A black bracket appears at the start date in the Gantt chart timescale to show that you set the start date. With manually scheduled tasks, you type placeholder text when you don't have the information yet. Say you're waiting for Marco to give you an estimate of the duration of this task. Click the duration cell and type a note. Project fills in the cell with your note, but nothing changes in the timescale because you haven't provided a duration yet. When you get the estimate from Marco, say 4 weeks, in the duration cell, type 4W and press Enter. Project changes the value to 4 weeks and draws a teal taskbar that spans the 4 weeks in the timescale. Because you provided two values, the start date and the duration, Project calculates the finish date for you. The black bracket at the finish date of the task shows that. The question mark on the task mode icon disappears as well because the task duration and date info is now complete. Project has another look for manually scheduled tasks with duration but no dates. In the next blank task name cell, type Choose Location. In the duration cell, type 1W for 1 week and press Enter. Project starts the task at the project start date, January 10, 2011. But because you haven't given any dates, the task bar is a shaded bar with no end brackets to show that the task has only a duration. To create a new auto-scheduled task, type the task name. Say Define Budget. In the Task Mode cell, click the down arrow and choose Auto-Scheduled. Because the task is auto-scheduled, it has to have a duration, start, and finish date. Project sets the duration to 1 day with a question mark to show that it estimates the duration at 1 day. It also sets the start date to the project start date and calculates the finish date for you. The task bar for an auto-scheduled task is a blue bar instead of the teal color for manually scheduled tasks. If you change the duration, Project recalculates the finish date. Type 5D in the duration cell and press Enter, and the finish date is recalculated to January 14, 2011, and the taskbar gets longer in the timescale. The question mark on the duration also disappears because you actually provided a duration. Whether you create auto-scheduled or manually scheduled tasks, you start by typing a task name. Then you can fill in other fields like duration or dates if you want. But for manually scheduled tasks, you can leave fields blank, fill them in with estimated values, or type placeholder notes about the info you still need.